a new feature in GQ Sports about Anthony Richardson, one of the top quarterback prospects in tomorrow's draft. It's already around the corner. David Gardner joins us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. David, how's it going?
No, I'm doing great, Stacey. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Bump and I, in our last segment, were just talking about who the Seahawks might pick at number 5, and both of us are kind of guessing that it's going to be Jalen Carter just because of his talent and because of the defensive help this team needs. But Anthony Richardson's name keeps popping up for Seattle at number 5. So before I get to your feature, which is excellent, I just want to start with maybe where you think Richardson might go.
Well, I think that Seattle is a really strong possibility, and we can get into this more, but I think it makes a lot of sense for a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's bumped around in a few different offenses, to get into a situation like he would be in Seattle, where there's an established starting quarterback. He can come in and spell and play maybe 5 to 10 snaps a game. He can throw, he can run, and he can be a sort of, wildcat option quarterback who can also throw and get to know the offense and get into a system with a head coach that, has been well known for innovative schemes throughout his career. So I think it would be a great landing spot for him. As to where he'll go, I think 1 is a possibility, and probably no lower than 15 would be my guess.
I want to ask you about just the personality of Anthony Richardson. You had a chance to be around him, and he comes off as a very confident player. You have to be confident to be a quarterback, right? He says, I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. What type of confidence?
Yeah.
Is it the type of confidence that can kind of brush people the wrong way at times, or is it a respectable type of confidence?
No, I think it's a great question. Like you said, quarterbacks have to be confident, sort of the nature of the business. You don't want to play for a quarterback who thinks he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. Of course you want your quarterback to think he's going to be one of the greatest of all time. From the players that I talked to who have played with him from the high school level to the college level, he's a sort of universally loved and admired guy. He's a real presence in the locker room. He's really funny. The backflips, which I got into in the piece, he actually does them really just to inspire his teammates. He wants to show them that they're out there to have fun, to play a game, to enjoy each other's company. And I think that he's going to be a great leader at the next level. I don't think that would be something that I would question about his transition.
He's 6'5", 248, broke quarterback combine records for vertical and broad jumps, ran a 4.43 40, which is the 4th fastest quarterback since 2000, and all the other quarterbacks that were in that group ahead of him were also much smaller. He is a physical phenom, and you used the backflips throughout to not just showcase his athleticism, but David, it felt like it was also to kind of set up the debate, right, about Richardson. Look at this guy doing backflips. He's always been so physically gifted. He's worked towards it, but he's got this amazing athleticism. Will it translate to success at the NFL level, which is really at the core of the article? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the question, right? Like, on one hand, like you said, you've got this guy who I think I describe him as a cannon on wheels who can do a dang backflip. I censored myself for your listeners.
Thank you.
It can do a backflip. It's incredible. On the other hand, I don't know. There's, 30 quarterbacks in the NFL Hall of Fame. It's not known whether any of them could do a backflip or whether that's necessary. For me, I think that if he gets into a stable offense where he is not expected to start from day one, that his chances of success go up enormously. And I think that's true of most quarterbacks who come to the NFL. It's a really tough transition to make. But I think it's especially true for Anthony Richardson, who did not go to a big prep high school, changed offensive coordinators twice when he was at Florida. I think if he gets into a situation where he has the stability, the support that he needs, he has everything else in going for him to be able to be a great player.
Now, people, they're going to knock him, right? 54% completion rate. I also throw out there that the Florida receivers dropped a lot of easy footballs as well. Does he talk about, or when you talk to him about that, and when scouts talk to him about that, what's his response? Does he just take it on the chin and say, I'm going to get better, or does he make excuses? What's his approach?
Yeah, he absolutely says that it needs to be better. It needs to be higher. He knows that there were throws that he could have made where he didn't make them. And he didn't say this, but I think the people around him are very open about saying that the fact that, Florida did not have the kind of, shelves stocked with NFL talent like maybe a Bryce Young and Alabama did, and that maybe if their roles were reversed, that Anthony Richardson would have been a Heisman Trophy contender. I think those hypotheticals are really hard to play out. I think it's true that this was not the most talented Florida offense, even of, a few years before when Kyle Trask was thrown for 5,000 yards. On the other hand, I think that there were really quite a few times during the season where he overthrew wide open receivers or just seemed to not have the touch on some of his passes. And that is something that he's going to have to tighten up if he's going to be a successful NFL quarterback. There's no question.
Now, you didn't just interview Anthony Richardson, obviously, for this feature. You spoke with members of his family. You spoke with coaches. Is there any one conversation or quote or moment in talking about Anthony to other people that stood out to you?
I think the one that really stood out to me the most that's towards the end of the piece was talking to his mother, LaShonda Clear, and she had these incredible stories about him, as any mother would, brag on her boy. But one of the ones that was really impressive to me was that as far back as middle school, he would go up to her and say, "Mom, don't worry, I'm going to be rich and famous one day, and you're going to be rich and famous too, because I'm going to be rich and famous." And, his mom had to work 2 and 3 jobs to be able to put them through school and to put them in sports. And so all throughout his life, he had this goal in mind that he wanted to be successful in order to be able to provide for his family. And now he's on the cusp of that. He's already done it, arguably, because he signed a big NIL deal at Florida. But now, of course, he's going to be in a different stratosphere coming up to the NFL. But his goal has always been to be able to take his family to a different place than it was when he was born into it. And I think, that's the thing that drives him more than the desire to be a great quarterback or more than a desire to be a Hall of Famer. He wants to do it for his family, and that shows you where his heart is.